So I hope everybody's okay. I thought I would do another video, and what I want to do is to kind of address several topics that have come up recently around the whole idea of growth and fear and self-sabotage, and pretty much taking baby steps towards whatever it is that we're looking to try and achieve, whether it is realization of what we are or anything as practical as making more money or losing weight or what have you. So the video will kind of take some twists and turns and stuff, but I'm sure it'll make sense in the end. The reason I'm doing this video is one of the things I've recently been talking to a lot of people about is examining reasons as to why they're still seeking. Allied to that, the whole idea of growth and moving towards what you're looking to attain, whether it's realization or anything else, brings up with it a lot of fear of what you feel you may have to lose, what you feel you may become, and it's something that's not really addressed. The only constant here really is that there is change. Our ideas of what we feel is this or what is real are constantly being challenged, and sometimes that can really bring up a lot of different thoughts, feelings and emotions. I was asked on a live stream about basically being okay with fear in the body and how to cope with that. And I told the story of a time when there was about 4 days or so when I was completely in fear, and then woke up one morning it was completely gone. Now I couldn't witness this fear. There was no separation between this fear and myself. The fear was me and I was the fear. And as it, in a sense, did what it needed to do, or explained or illuminated what it needed to illuminate, it was gone. But although I would have loved to have done everything in my power to get rid of it, to get rid of it, I couldn't. And sometimes when we're changing, although there may be change that we don't really want, and the fear that comes up kind of is like, in a sense, ourselves telling ourselves, oh, look, things are going to change, it's not going to be the same as it's going to as we thought it was. What happens is, we want to do, what we're programmed to do, which is kind of the whole flight and fight thing. We just want to run away. Sometimes we don't want to sit there and confront our pain, or actually accept our pain as being something that is us. It's not separate from us. It's our pain. It's from our story. And by realizing that it's an aspect of ourselves, we can, in a sense, allow it to do what it needs to do, and give us lessons it needs to give. Because remember, ultimately, we actually know what it is that we're seeking, or what it is that we're looking to realize about ourselves. And it's about being okay with whatever emotion comes up. Because everybody has decided that this whole idea of realization will be constant, non-ending bliss, and it's lovely, as I heard another speaker say in a video, we want the big, expansive, blissful moments, and yet we don't want the other side, which is the fear, the agitation, the very real identification of a me. And we reject this version because guess what, that version is easier, and also because this doesn't make sense. And when in a sense we realize that it's all one and the same, that fear is happening in that expansiveness, and it's also happening in this idea of an individual, then we're okay with it, because there isn't anything that's actually separate from this. We make this whole, and even the way we talk, we make this whole separation appear by going on about the mind as if it's something separate to us, or fear. Well, it's your fear. As I said something about the mind once, it's your mind, take responsibility for it. And again, it's your fear, take responsibility for it. See that you are more expansive than just a limited being. And then you'll realize that your emotions are actually there to actually help, not hinder. And as we fight these emotions, what we do is we just, in a sense, resist. We are constantly looking to resist when really we just need to accept. Because as we accept, the situation itself changes. The thought, the feeling, the emotion, the sensation is honored, and then it's allowed to move on. So yes, with fear and growth, it's important to be kind to yourself and allow these things to take their process. We live in such a time-orientated culture that even the whole talk of a timeless has been subjected to a clock. That I need to wake up, and I need to wake up now. Nobody's keeping score. Nobody's wanting you to, nobody's keeping score. Nobody's wanting you to wake up at a certain specific point, because that's what's going to happen. Sometimes there's a very real sense of a process. There's a very real, so as a matter of fact, not even a sense of, there's a very real process going on internally in us as we recognize more and more of what we are. It was something I was saying to a young man I was talking to this morning. this process of change can start from as simple a thing as just tidying your bed and kind of reversing the cycle that's going on. So if you're in a load of negativity, maybe that one instant where you feel slightly better about yourself, can begin this process of change, and then give us, in a sense, the strength to continue this journey, to realize that what we're looking for or what we're seeking isn't separate from us, firstly. And secondly, it's not something that's very mystical and esoteric and it's the preserve of some sort of a holy man sitting on a mountain, but a very practical reality which impacts every aspect of your reality. And it allows you to, in a sense, see without veils, see without the conditioning, see without the story, and see what actually is. As a very famous speaker, Yuji Krishnamurti, once shouted at someone, you've never seen this, and he pointed at a table and he goes, this will end you. Because we have so many of these veils and so many of these stories and so many of these ideas, that what can happen is that we get lost in all of those. And sometimes just the simple act of living can help us see the nonsensical nature of what it is that we're looking for, and also to help us identify if it is even in fact realization that we're looking for, or realization that we're looking to realize. Sometimes it can be as simple as a certain situation in your life changes, and as that stuck energy, in a sense, releases, you see that you're more. Because realization isn't this one-time pinnacle event where you go, oh God, I'm realizing, that's it. Realization is constantly happening. So in that sense, whenever you realize something a bit more about yourself, whenever you see that there's a limit of yours that wasn't real, or there's some sort of a knowing or understanding, you're in that process of realization. And realization is constantly realizing itself. I'm not that person I was 10 minutes prior to this, and I won't be this person 5-10 years from now, because there will be constant realizations as to what I am. I'll constantly see that what I believe as an idea of me is probably not true, and I can then comfortably take my time and let that go. Some ideas I may not want to let go of, and I want to hold on, because there's a very real fear with that. And instead of fighting that fear, I can examine that fear, be that fear, and realize that yes, it's here to show me something. It's allowing me to see that yes, if I do let this go, well, this is what's going to happen, or that. In other words, giving me an option to actually keep a current reality in place, or even, in a sense, manage the change. Because invariably, as you change, as you start seeing more and more what you are, it does impact those around you, and sometimes that needs to be managed as well. So it's about being intelligent in the truest sense of the word, and being aware in this moment that whatever's happening is all interconnected. So sometimes the smallest acts that are happening in our day, which we're so conditioned to ignore, because of this whole idea of habituation, we miss, not realizing that the miracle that is sought is actually happening now. It's actually happening in this moment. There's a very good study done about habituation, and it was about some Zen masters listened to the clicking of noise, and so did so-called normal people, although I don't know what that even means really. And after about 4 or 5 clicks, the mind was habituated to it. It didn't register anymore. But whereas with someone living completely in the moment, each click was, in a sense, as it says in the Bhagavad Gita, ever fresh and ever new. And it's really about reclaiming those moments that we have been so conditioned in our rushing around at 24 hours a day, 24/7 culture, or in our, oh God, I've really got to understand this whole idea of realization. And it's about putting that stuff aside and sometimes just sitting with what is. The opening of a flower, that moment where you, in a sense, feel alive, that moment where you catch a glimpse of yourself, and trusting that that isn't something unusual and weird, but that's how you naturally function. And by slowly and surely seeing that, the desire, the want, the whole idea of wanting to be free can be let go of, because you realize that what is being sought is yourself. And the beautiful thing about what is being sought is yourself is that you're already here. When you realize you're already here, this desire for an event or something to happen or some sort of a realization can slowly but surely die on the vine.